Hey folks, Jeff here with One Fish, Two Fish. Today's video is going to be on our planter tank. We have one of the most low maintenance planter tanks I'm sure you can find. We try to keep everything as, basically bone dry easy as you can do it. We don't want to keep anything in the store that's really difficult or that's a lot of maintenance, so that when you take it home, you find it a lot harder to take care of. So our system is, it's an 8-foot long tank by 3 feet deep. It is only 12 inches high, which makes it a little easier for us with lighting. But I am going to give you just a little walkthrough of how we have it set up. Like I said, I assure you it was very little to set up. The maintenance to it is very minimal. The chemicals and stuff we use, again, very easy, very minimal. So this is our planter tank here. So it is an 8-foot long, like I said, 12-inch high. It's what they call a frag tank for the most part. Does really well with coral just for the lighting. This is our monster piece of moss here that just grows to say it grows like a weed is an understatement. It just will not stop growing. We actually have some. Oh, my mind is going blank. I can't think of the name of it. It's a different kind of moss. It's actually the first time we had it in, so we didn't really want to sell it until we could grow it out a little bit. So we just took one little piece apart. It was half the size of a golf ball, and we planted it all along our piece of the spider wood here. And as you can tell, I mean, it has taken off almost throughout the whole thing. I mean, we even had some stuff out of the water that was growing, so it does really well. And a bunch of just random plants. There's anubis, Java moss, Christmas moss. We don't, in this system here, we don't have our Tropica plants currently. We do have a Tropica setup coming over here. The other store does have a full Tropica selection. We stock 50 to 75 grow plants at any time, usually 30 to 40 of the potted package plants as well. Those plants are unreal, especially the grow plants. They come in tiny little cups, a couple inches, but you put them in a tank and they just, within 30 days, you'd never understand how small they actually were. But anyone that knows them, they've become kind of the name for freshwater plants now. Easy to take care of. Tropica's really good also at telling you right on the package, easy, intermediate, or advanced. So if you are a beginner, grab a handful of the easy ones, and for the most part, just watch them go crazy, watch them take off. The biggest part of this tank, and I did when we had first set it up, we did have some issues with it, and it was my own fault. I got cheap, and I didn't use good substrate. I just put some sand in it that I got at one of the hardware stores. I completely regret it. For us, now there are a lot of plants that do like the sand. For us, 90% of what we stock does so much better with the substrate. So all that we put in here is just an Eco-Complete substrate. The other store we use the fluorite. To each his own. Some like the fluorite, some like the Eco-Complete. I think they're both really good. They both work really well. Not a lot of effort. Open the bag, cut it open, dump it in. Grab a dustpan, level it out really nice, and then you can start putting your pots in. We keep all of our pots. We keep the plants in pots. It's just easier to move. Obviously, when somebody buys them, take them home, they take them out and just plant it. All we have for ours, rotating the water. This was set up as a coral tank at one time, so it's just got an overflow in the back. I would have preferred the overflow in the middle, but not a real big deal for what it does. And then we just have the returns on either side that just spit the water everywhere. And the bottom is nothing. It is a big Laguna tub. It has a big brick of marine pure in it, and that's it. That holds lots of bacteria in it, so we don't do a whole lot with it. Now, the one thing I always tell people with ours, the one thing that we have that is very high end, and it is the reason we get a lot of our plants, are our Kessel lights. These are, they do have, this is a 360 Tuna Sun, it's called, and then they also have a 160 version, about half the money. These guys run about $500. But if you have a planted tank, if you are very into plants, that is your one goal with the tank, this is a hands down must-have. these will grow plants crazy. We actually had to move this. This was one that we had under our high light, the moss, and it just, and not that moss needs high light to grow, it absolutely does not, but it was growing a handful a day. It was growing so much. So we have it under our, and again, this is a great light as well. It's the 160 version, Tuna Sun. It's about half the money. If I'm right, they run about $250. But again, for most plants, it's going to be more than enough. So the biggest thing I would say with plants, for anybody doing plants, 100% use your substrate, put down something good. Even for a 120-gallon tank, it's going to cost you, a little over $100 to put the right gravel in. You're gonna have 50% less effort with growing your plants. They're going to do so much better with it. The next step for sure is the lighting. If you can get something, and again, not everybody wants to spend that kind of money on a light, and you can get cheaper lights. But for top of the line, for what we like, there's not a plant we've ever brought in that these lights don't do phenomenal with. And as for putting stuff in the tank, it's very, very minimal, again, what we use. No CO2 or nothing on it, obviously. Just a very basic setup. Basically, what we use for our stuff is just right here. Flourish Excel. Occasionally, depending on what plants we have in the system, we'll get into the nitrogen, the iron, and the phosphorus. For the most part, Flourish Excel is a great product. Just basically a liquid CO2. Does a phenomenal job. 95% of plants will take to it. Again, there are different, different products that do the same thing as that. It's the one that we like. It's very inexpensive. I think that stuff is $15 a bottle. And it'll last this tank for months. And at any given time we have in this tank usually about 150 plants. There's probably about 70 right now. We actually have 150 coming tonight, so you'll see a lot of them are not rooted. They're just not put in because they're all going to get moved tonight anyway. So, but you get the nice greens. Don't have any red plants in. We got a lot of red stuff coming tonight. I am certainly not. Whatever. This was one of the only tanks in the store I actually don't know a ton about. So when we set it up, I do have a couple people over at the other store that are phenomenal plants. So I asked them, I said, tell me how to set it up. So it's not a lot of work. Everything looks good, everything grows good, and basically it's the exact same as what I just told you. The substrate is a huge deal. First thing for sure. That was one thing I didn't do at the beginning and regretted. Every day I didn't do it, I regretted it. I changed it over, and now it's 100 times easier. The lights are your next. Make sure you get good lighting, because that's how a lot of these guys grow. So basically, we get asked all the time, what kind of CO2 do you use? Where can I get a CO2 system? I tell people, what do you want to keep? If you're just if you just want to keep a tank, with a lot of the tropical plants, or just, regular generic plants, 9 out of 10 times you don't need CO2. Will they grow better? Yeah, they will. They'll go crazy in it. They do like it, but a lot of the chemicals up there will do basically the same thing, and you'll get your plants to grow really nice. And I'm sure you'll be just as happy when it's done. And for the most part, you don't need your tank to grow in a month. A lot of people like watching their plants grow. We certainly do. We'll anytime, kind of the same as what we do with every tank. When we bring them in, we'll grab a couple that we really like. We'll set them to the corner, and we'll let them grow out a little bit. But yeah, just like I said, any planted tank, a really good substrate. First thing, EcoComplete, Fluoride are the two that we use. Again, there are some different ones. We are looking at bringing in actually one other brand that we keep getting asked about. I'll update you that in the next couple weeks when we start bringing it in. But yeah, good substrate and a good light, and you should be able to keep almost any plant, certainly at any local fish store that you're going to be looking for. Anything you can order online. So that's it. That's all I want to show you with that. Lastly, what I will say, any of our Canadian subscribers, we are actually starting in the next probably 2 weeks to ship all of our plants Canada-wide for under $10. Any order over $150 is going to have free shipping. This is Canada-wide, next day UPS to your door. So, even anybody that lives close to the store, you don't feel like getting out, go online. Our website's going to be set up in the next probably 2 weeks. It'll have it all on there. You can order right on there, pay right on there, put your address, and ship it directly to your door. So, any of our Canadian subscribers, if you're ever looking for plants, shoot us a message, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.